So welcome, Dean.
Thank you.
Dean Leffingwell, entrepreneur, author, CEO of Scaled Agile Inc. and creator of the SAFe framework. Welcome to the UK.
Thanks for having me, Darren.
When was the last time you were in the UK, Dean?
I know I should know the answer to that question. I'm not exactly sure. I think it was 4 or 5 months ago. I came here with Michael. We did the usual, had a couple meetups and talked to some customers and just tried to help people adopt SAFe.
Well, welcome back.
Thanks.
So let's start off by, what's your vision for SAFe over the next few years?
So the next few years, I mean, I think we have enough vision to know that the bodies of knowledge that we're working with now, which are many, so, you know, I'll describe them. Systems thinking has been around forever, but that's a real key element to what we're doing. A later entrance is lean product development and product development flow. Ward and Reinertsen, et cetera, that's an incredible body of knowledge. Agile development in general, and then the lean thinking paradigm, lean from Toyota, lean thinking manager teacher. These are fantastic bodies of knowledge that sit on the side of our engineering practices and software development, computer science. Those are really big bodies of knowledge. So I don't think we've begun to exhaust what we can learn from those. And then we see new bodies of knowledge emerge. I think DevOps is a good example of a way to start at the back end, if you will, and figure out how to deliver more frequently. And people like like Gene Kim and Humble are laying down new pathways for us. So there's just no shortage of stuff to learn from. And I think our strategy in SAFe is to not be overly proud about our method, our dogma, or whatever, but to learn from the best. And those bodies are all there. They're still evolving. We learn new things every day. So we'll continue to release a new version of SAFe every year or so. We're on the throes right now of a significant release, version 4.5. I'm sure we'll talk about that when it's coming up. But there was a version 1, there was 2, I think there was 2.5. We had to do a patch for 2.6. We did version 3, version 4, and now 4.5. 4.5 is a significant release. We didn't choose the word 5 for a number of reasons, mostly just not to disturb kind of the 4 rollout in the marketplace. So the vision is to learn and evolve, to record, synthesize. We're working through some new stuff now, which I'll talk about in a second, which I think really makes SAFe simpler. I think when we start to understand how lean startup and lean thinking, lean UX, which is more of a hypothesis-driven approach, continuous delivery, DevOps, release on demand, fast feedback, A/B testing, that's a continuum. That's not, we'll bolt this here, here, and here. So in this next version of SAFe, I see it in some ways simpler. I mean, the big picture is still the big picture. There's a lot of elements on that. We haven't grown elements, but I think the story is simpler. I think thinking about smaller batch sizes right from the get-go, delivering that batch size and getting fast feedback. As we had that talk this morning, I mostly talked about, gosh, that epic is a cool thing. What's the hypothesis? What do you mean, what's the hypothesis? Well, what do you think the business outcome will be when you do that? Well, we think this will happen. And then I ask another question. What's the simplest thing we could do to prove that hypothesis? Yeah. And that immediately gets you out of the kind of fixed waterfall, locked and loaded, big epic program feature and gets everybody thinking about proving their wares and getting faster feedback. So it will be leaner for sure and more agile. What it looks like, we'll just have to see.
So we know that Agile is very pervasive in the organisation.
Yeah, it is.
And SAFe is very much focused on lean IT. But we're starting to see emergence into lean agile budgeting, been around for a while,
Yep.
agile HR,
Yep.
agile marketing. Do you see SAFe evolving into sort of non-IT areas or the wider enterprise?
So the wider enterprise, yes. Systems and software and IT for sure centered there. The new release has a new name. We call it SAFe for Lean Enterprises. But we're not really leaving our roots either. So you mentioned things like HR, which needs to operate differently in an agile environment, right? The engagement model with knowledge workers is different. The next generation of people that we want to employ want to work in a really empowering environment where they can create their best craft, and they're looking for knowledge rather than a job assignment, so to speak. So we have to cover those things. Lean agile budgeting, we've been banging that drum for a while. We saw it this morning, right? In that conversation, it's like, well, we fund projects. Gosh, well, we need to talk more about that. So we will cover those other areas. In particular, we're working right now in Agile HR. We have 1, 2, 3 SPCs now that have an HR background, and they're conspiring and collaborating and creating some new content for us. However, when I talk to my own team about strategy and execution of strategy, I talk about distinctive competence. I'm a junkie for a company that does a thing really well. And the more things you try to do well, the less well you can do them all, kind of by definition.
Yeah.
So we had that debate around the table, you know, we're going to work, you know, is there going to be safe for non-governmental organizations, or, you know, safe for marketing departments? And the answer is no. And the reason is we're software and systems guys. So I think I was being overly expressive at one point in our wide-ranging discussion. I say, is there a million lines of code in it? And if the answer is no, we're probably not going to do it. If the answer is yes, then that means all of these things, agile development, lean thinking, product development flow, they all come into bear. Now, having said that, we use SAFe in our entire enterprise. Our marketing team, our sales teams, our Scrum teams. We run, my team is a kind of Scrum Kanban combined, so it works to bring alignment and organizational and clarify responsibilities and ownership and know what the backlog is and to get those roles. But we're not going to be the ones to apply it outside of systems and software.
Okay. In the early years, we're probably doing a version release every year. Mm-hmm. That's probably slowed down a bit. I think version 4 came out January, February of last year. Version 5?
I know, it really hurts my feelings. So let's talk about continuous delivery. Yeah. I had a DevOps champion talk to me about that, because continuous is a strong word. It turns out that continuous delivery or continuous delivery is not a monolithic thing. And whenever you think of it as a monolithic thing, you think about, I get a brand new version of operating system, yeah, or a new app on my phone. Even SAFe, it's a website. It's a simple website, but it's hosted on AWS, and they do the international distribution for us. But we look at SAFe and we say, well, how often could I change that big picture without freaking people out? Yeah. Do you want to walk into a class and they look at the website and I moved an icon? And the answer is no. Well, so we decided that these major revisions set market expectations and people will adopt a version of SAFe. And that's one of the reasons we picked 4.5. We have a lot of stuff we want to coach and do different, but we didn't want people to think, oh, what I've done in 4 doesn't apply anymore. So the big picture, we've decided purposefully to evolve slowly. But if you look at SAFe, for example, implementation roadmap, yeah, was incremental delivery. Every article can be updated. We have guidance articles all the time. So there's a continuous flow of value around SAFe. You just can't change the big picture very often, because that's the one people print a poster, they adopt the roles and responsibilities, and they implement. And organizational change management is difficult. It's not easy to implement SAFe or any other significant organizational change. So the frequency of our major releases has to be something the market can tolerate. Yeah. We're fully capable of firing up Adobe Illustrator and changing the big picture tomorrow, but the market doesn't want that. And I think that's a lesson about continuous delivery too. If I'm Verizon, I have this huge infrastructure product that does all of my billings. I probably don't want continuous delivery. I need some quality control checks. I probably have some end user training. I want more frequent delivery. Yeah. So I think that you're going to see a drive for everybody. The people we talked to today, they just need more frequent delivery. They can't wait 18 months to create a new feature, yeah, a new capability.
But the guidance articles are pretty cool, because you get them out there, you get the feedback on them. Get the feedback on them, and then you can bed them into the framework. Absolutely. And here's the secret, hardly anybody reads them. So we're actually, we have a design element working that we're not launching right away that basically says, to write a big picture, here's a bunch of guidance. So it'd be a little simple pull down that says, hey, there's a new article. So we need to get people recognizing, yeah, that it's not only stuff behind it, stuff on the side. And those are proving grounds. A lot of those articles, like Agile HR, is in guidance. Yeah. Agile Architecture actually moved to guidance because it became kind of not as critical for the mainstream big picture, but it's still there. Now. Yep. Lean UX moves to the front. So releasing of any system of any significant scope is not a monolithic thing. So when we think about continuous delivery, we need to think about more frequent delivery of the system elements that deliver value. Excellent.